for our next guest, I've actually had the privilege of interviewing him on Twitter Space, but this time we get to do it more face to face. It is, of course, the wonderful Elijah Reed. So, Elijah, please take it away.
Ooh. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, round of applause. The clap tracks and everything. But hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor to be here on Podcast Patrol, i.e., the home space and place of the Doom Group. Thank you.
Yeah, Elijah, just sorry.
Oh, go ahead,
Elijah,
Kathleen. Go
tell yourself about who you're playing the show, just so everyone actually does know who you're playing.
Oh, yes, right. I was too hyped. But yes, my name is Elijah Rashad Reed, everybody, and I play Deric on this 4th season of Doom Patrol.
Yeah, what a cool character. I mean, especially being the kind of the best friend or the old best friend and reconnecting again now with Cyborg. Like so we were talking a little bit about this before we hit record, but I think what is really interesting to know about is the responsibility of coming in to a character like that, who has a direct connection to Vic, playing opposite Javon. How is this role different than maybe other roles you've played as it relates to Doom Patrol in the community?
Honestly, I first would say is the fact that I am a lot more knowledgeable about the community. I mean, even just being here to know how much of an impact my work is really having. So first and foremost, it's the fact that there's such a strong and love-filled community that I'm also very much interwoven into is first and foremost. And prior to that, as we were talking, when I was going into doing the work for this season, I did some research. Outside of watching the show, I was looking at, my dad was looking and sent me YouTube videos of people that did spoiler casts and different things of that nature that have created YouTube channels or Twitter or Reddit pages that more or less are talking about Doom Patrol. And they're all talking about how, whether it's Larry, whether it's Crazy Jane, whether it's Cliff, and how they personally find ways of how they've dealt with their own ups and downs and things of that nature. And I started to really see that it's not just a superhero show. It's not just for, I'm not going to curse on here, but, for its and giggles and all of that stuff. Like it is, those are the fun elements. But under the whole story is this very heartfelt journey of people that more or less are finding ways out of a horrific situation that made them who they are, now are finding their humanity again. And it's from there that everybody, I feel, has been able to find like this universal feeling of like, oh, that's me. Oh, this piece of me is right there in Cliff. Oh, I feel like Dorothy, or yes, I've gone through that thing that Crazy Jane's gone through, or, Vic, man, I know exactly what that's like. Really being stuck between two spaces or having to grow up so fast. And not really getting a childhood, to go back to even what this season is about, and I could relate to certain elements of that, kind of having situations, just in life, like life happens to all of us where in one way or another, we have to grow up a little bit faster. There are those that really get to have a whole childhood here and there, and it's beautiful and there's nothing wrong about that. But I know for speaking to his, or even there's Crazy Jane and how she grew up, and Rita, and so like honestly, it's just so many. But again, that sense of having one's innocence taken away in one way or another through life, and then you've now had to quickly create your own new version of yourself, where before you had a lot more space to just go through your ups and downs, and now it's like, no, I have to be a full person now. And yes.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Kathleen. Sorry.
It's all right. I was actually just going to say, just tell us a little bit about your background, and because as we know, you are an actor, but what do you do out of the acting, side of it?
Well, first and foremost, I am the baby of 3. I am a great son. I take that job and responsibility very well. Try my best. I fail a lot, but I still end the day with a hug and a kiss. You can quote me and ask my mom, my dad. But no, I grew up playing sports. So my first kind of discipline, if you will, was being an athlete. And then simultaneously, I was an actor. But then I kind of dropped that and I pursued basketball. That took me to college. I was cut twice. I was going out for the college, Division III team. I got cut the first year. I came back again, got cut again. And there was a point where I more or less had an identity crisis. And I was trying to figure out what is the next thing for me? What is the thing or my passion that gives me the same feeling that I had when I'm playing these big games and things of that nature? And something kind of whispered in my ear and said, well, acting, and next thing I know, sophomore year, I took a couple classes, did some plays, and then the bug just came back and my wheel kept turning and turning and it hasn't stopped, I think I've been doing this for about seven or so years now. I always say, like, professionally, like when I graduated and took my academics at Loyola Marymount University, and then I also study acting outside of that independently. So yeah, been doing this for a while, and outside of that, I read comics, I build my Legos. I'd love to get out and box or ride bikes and do other things, create myself and just be like a filmmaker. So I like to create in that way. But yeah, outside of being an actor, things that I do are limitless.
I love that you talked about it, like sort of an identity crisis, because it's interesting. I hear a lot about that, especially for college athletes who, like, that's all they've ever known, right? And so they graduate, and let's say they don't go on to play professionally. They don't know what to do because that's all they've ever known. So that's interesting. Can you talk a little bit more about getting, like, were there people in your life? What kind of support system? What was there that pushed you in that direction of acting? To finally say, like, okay, I maybe this is me.
Right. First and foremost is my mother. My mom always had me. Excuse me. From here, born and raised in Los Angeles. Yeah, I forgot. Wherever everybody is. But yes, my mom here saw it in me when I was young. I used to do plays when I was in elementary school, and she just saw that I had a talent and an interest, and she just kind of nurtured that and got me into there's a university here, the University of Cal State LA, and I went to this kind of drama school. I learned how to jazz dance and acted. So I had to do both because they want us to be well-rounded. Then from there, it just was a series of people that saw me and said, keep going. And, the list continues to grow. Like, I'm always moving and finding somebody else, bumping into somebody that in their way continues to tell me to push on, in the sense of, hey, you got it. You're going through some ups and downs in acting, but keep on, keep pushing. Another person outside of my mother, my father and my aunt, my auntie Rita, she went through a lot of classes here in Los Angeles, and she kind of told me certain schools to go to. She said, go here, go here, go here. And then next thing I know, I found teachers that I still go to this day. And then, then every teacher that I've had has been another person that has continued to instill in me the confidence and reassurance that I need to know what I have going on and what I can do as an artist is the stuff, it's the jam. So outside of that, I mean, I always say I am a collective or an amalgamation of all the people that have impacted me in my life, and continuously say, man, you got it. Keep going. Sky's just the beginning.
And what's your advice for people? Because, we talk a lot about mental health, and I think people get stuck, right? And what's your advice for reaching out, finding that system that you're talking about? Because, like you said, it takes up so many more people and experiences and things to get you to where you are today.
Right.
But there are people who maybe have never had that those opportunities, right? Or they don't know how to go out and like just reach out to one person.
Mm-hmm.
What's your advice for people to do that and when they're stuck?
Right. Because it's challenging.
Sure.
The reason why I say that is because you know, we all are very unique. We're all very, very different, and not in a way to kind of push that aside. It's just, I think the first thing is to acknowledge that and understand that, and then being able to try to find and target the way that works for that individual. For me, if I were to give some advice, something I've done where I've had my ups and down moments that a friend actually just, you know, suggested, is go for a walk, you know, but again, depending on what people's areas are, different things like that. But if you are able to, I would say go for a walk, because being outside, you know, sourcing on the world around you, you know, being in a four-wall space, you know, enclosed space, after a while, you're not around anything creative. You get outside, it's creative, it's life, it's color. There's things that are happening. And then it takes your mind off it. You're in your body. You know, that's one of the bigger things that go on, you know, even just with acting. You know, one of my teachers is very big on it. He's just saying, you got to get into your body, because your body knows so much. You know, yes, we are intellectual, but we feel, we have these senses. There's a lot of things that are stored inside our bodies, good and bad. And you got to acknowledge that. So as much as you try to think your way, sometimes you have to, I guess, do your way. You know, you go for a walk, or whatever your sport is. If you don't play a sport, maybe it's, you know, it's doing an activity that gets you outside of your head and more or less get you into that meditative state. Like for me, sometimes I build Legos. So I'll get a very big, large set, and I will, you know, I'll build for 2-3 hours straight. Or sometimes I just take it where I build a bag a day. And next thing I know, I'm able to kind of let my mind kind of go through different things and figure out, okay, what am I dealing with? What's going on? Outside of that, if you want to stay inside, journaling. There's a book I haven't finished it, but I've gone through it once or twice and stopped at like the 6th week. But it's called The Artist Way, and one of the big proponents they talk about is artist pages. And what you're supposed to do is write, I think it's 2 or 3 full pages of stream of consciousness, and you just don't stop. Even if you say, oh, this is stupid, this is stupid, this is stupid, keep writing. And every day before you wake up or before you go to sleep, when you wake up or before you go to sleep, you write. So, you know, there are those 2 things. I mean, maybe watch a comedy, you know, watch something good, you know, get your spirits up however you can. But again, I understand, I hold space for individuals that are going through different variations of their ups and their low moments. And then the biggest one is to say, I need help.
Yeah.
Internally, being able to actually articulate that, verbalize that, and be able to accept that, honor that, and then move forward in that space of saying, okay, I need help. And then from there, sometimes just talking about it to the immediate people around you, you'd be surprised. People start saying, oh, shoot, I didn't even know. Oh, I have this. And next thing you know, things start moving. You know, sometimes a lot of people talk about it. I feel for it too. You know, the law of attraction, you know, it's energy. If you find a way to get yourself in a more energetic state, which is what I was saying about walking and moving, staying active, even just a simple thing of keeping your head up. It's very interesting, but those few little things can start you on that. And also just being kind to yourself and knowing that, you know, we're going to have these ups and downs. You know, the higher our highs, sometimes the lower our lows. And, you know, you got to be able to ride the wave, you know, and it's very tough. Like I said, everybody's wave or waves in life are different. And the few things that I have suggested, you know, at least hopefully can help individuals get their ball rolling.
Yeah.
I definitely think mental health is so important. Like for me, I learned because obviously we all had to go through lockdown, and it was the toughest thing. But what managed to help me out was I managed to do some colouring. That
Oh,
was
nice.
yeah. And also just going for a walk, watching as many films just to help with it. And also communication is definitely the key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, communication outside of anything else, communication is key, and just communicate to the best of your abilities. And communication can be verbal, artistically, right, you write it, you make sounds, you find any way to express yourself and start getting it out. And then kind of, over time, it gets easier and easier in the sense of finding a way to express it and then kind of then being able to form what that really is and then how to address it.
Yeah.
So we've got some wonderful questions from the community because I've been saying,
Okay.
come on, guys, if you've got any questions, ask away. So I've written them all down. So we're going to start off with this question. So what do you think has to be your favorite creature or villain in the show? Such as the brain, the butts, Scissorman, what has got to be your favorite one?
Man, my favorite creature or villain in the show. I mean, the first thing that clicks in my mind is Mr. Nobody, first and foremost, because I mean, super iconic, just set the precedent for the whole show. And even to this day, my dad is like, man, like that's season one. And just having this antagonist, narrating the whole thing, but in such a way that is very, breaking of the fourth wall, making jokes all over the place, doing things, manipulating the whole space. It was, I mean, it was what it was, and that's why it is the first season, because they knew exactly if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it with a bang. Mr. Nobody pops up. Candlemaker is that season 2, just the impact and just how that story just was so well. His character was so prevalent throughout the thing. Again, I enjoy characters like that, that are not just a big bad of the day, or they're just big bad and we don't know as much. Like, it's so interesting to find or to have like those characters that come into the space, and every time you feel like you have your own personal time with your main characters, it's like, boom, they come in and you're like, oh man, like what's going to happen? And it just, it starts to really mess with you as an audience member. I'd say those two. I'm trying to think of one more. It's because I mean, there's, iconically, yes, the butts. The butts are amazing. Like they just keep coming. It's like,
right.
It's like Baskin Robbins. Like, well, here in the States, it's like 31 flavors. It's like an ice cream parlor. There's just different versions of the butts. They just come. It's like you got zombie, you got regular, you got dancing, singing. What do you want? It's like soon enough you're gonna have flying ones. Like, they're everywhere. I'll leave it at that. Because honestly, it's like how can you outdo?
I love it.
Now, as we know, you of course have been in a recent episode with Duran. Tell us a little bit about what was it like working with him.
Oh, it was great. It was great. That man, he is a class act, I think is the best way to say it. He, through and through, Javan is just a great person, great man, great artist. So on set was, I got the Cyborg experience, if you will. It's just his energy, his personality, his aura, it just exudes out. And again, coming from sports, it's one of those things of, I naturally gravitate towards people that raise themselves up to another level. My competitive spirit kicks in and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, we're doing it like this. Okay, cool. Yeah. Let me, okay. I didn't know, I got to stretch a little bit more today and, get myself good for this situation we're about to get into, because I see that, you're ready. You're locked in, you're zoned in. I learned so much. I mean, being for me, it's my first time on the show. It's my first season. It's his fourth, and the many other things that he's done. But to see him come in with so much poise, focus, and just intention and discernment in the sense of the work, what he wants to do, what he's feeling. I learned a lot about how to step into my own voice, my own agency, if you will, in the sense of collaborating, because again, in a lot of ways, when you're coming into a new space, like we were saying before, I just initially wanted to do a great job for myself, for my quote unquote, my career, in the sense of how people see me, and, everyone's kind of learning me. Again, I'm trying to make a good impression, if you will. But then doing more of the research, different things like that, I had a different intention when I walked in onto the sets and whatnot. But again, being around him, it just showed me how I can maneuver as myself, as I continue to form my identity as an artist, as an actor, filmmaker, creative, so on and so forth. So to see all of those things, honestly, was very, very empowering. And then outside of set was just like, oh man, it's so cool that right from action to cut, it's still a genuine, great person. And we can just, talk about anything, watch football, play pool or do different things like that. Just have a good time. And those things are always fun, and as anybody, you want to be able to work hard and then be able to just relax and not have to feel like you're having to compartmentalize yourself or only show so much. I was very much able to just relax and just be myself around those spaces and not having to feel as though I need to be this ready actor, can't mess up. I gotta have it good because everybody else is moving and moving and moving. It was very much, with his presence and everyone else included, it was just a space, it was a family, and I really felt that being day one to the last day to the rap party. It was a family through and through, and something that will always and forever be a part of my heart.
My favorite, funniest scene between you and Duran was the line where you were saying about changing Duran's well, we call it nappy, but obviously you guys call it diaper. But
right.
It was just, when I watched that scene, I just bursted into laughing. It was just so funny, but it was great at the same time, because when you watch Duran's reaction to it, it's like, don't bring that up again.
Yeah, it's just so it's so random, and I mean it's very much in the Doom Patrol fashion, but it's like honestly, it's like you don't want to. No, I don't want to think about that. No, this never actually happened. That was your figment of your imagination. You're in an alternate reality. Just focus on that. Don't focus on the fact that you changed my diapers. I don't ever want to know that again. So yeah, that was a good one. That was a good, really, that is interesting that was the one that really, really clicked with you. But I see that. Makes a lot of sense.
Was there, when you guys were exploring your character in particular, I mean, was there ever any kind of discussion like, you know what, you're kind of a superhero in a sense, right? You're joining forces with Cyborg. You're this brilliant roboticist.
Thank you.
Like that. I mean, it's like, because it's right, and you're there. You go to this, this other universe, this pocket universe or whatever. Like, what was that part of the discussion when you were getting ready for the role, when you were working with Siobhan? Like, what was that part of the discussion, that you could be considered part of the Doom Patrol?
No, not at all. But I say that in a way of like, it was all a surprise. So there was no discussions on my end, not whatsoever. Discussions in terms of people writing it, and they had a whole story, and let's put this guy in these particular situations. They knew that. So yeah, when I would, more or less, we would get different pages as the months would go on, as we continued to shoot different things like that. So for me, it was honestly an amazing thing was walking into it where I did the audition. I, for the most part, only assumed I'd play a best friend, have some drama scenes, have maybe a comedic scene, be there for a month.
Yep.
I did not expect to be in a pocket dimension drawing and doing a bunch of stuff and creating a robot. Like I still to this day am still kind of like, what they wrote that and they said, yeah, we want this guy to jump in some random place and do all these things. And in a way, like you're saying, kind of slowly be hinted at like being like kind of like a superhero and doing things. And I was like, wait, what? Those are things that we dream about, as an artist. At least for me, I'm a big comic book head. I love this stuff. So to even get that, I was like, oh, this is crazy. There's no way that they would, but hey, they did. And I'm so thankful for that. I mean, that journey. But in between that, as we started to, do the work and rehearse and different things of that nature, when it finally clicked for me, I was talking to Javan about it. I was like, dude, this kind of gives me the vibe of like two brothers are trying to save the Doom Patrol.
Right.
Like that's pretty big that they would do that, especially two guys that apparently don't have any powers. Like,
yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, like for what it is, I know it seems weird, but that is Doom Patrol fashion. But in just a general like stance of like, okay, this is weird. Like these two guys, they don't have powers. How's the team going to get out? Because we still don't really know what's going to happen, But then to have Deric be able to use his intelligence and, one of the best games ever, Dungeons and Dragons, to use that and correlate all of these things together to then find this kind of epiphany of like, wait, this entire world is created by somebody. We're in this creation of somebody. So there must be a way that, rules, if you will, a way in which this land works. So let's use it against itself. And just to be in that whole situation, sadly, we didn't have that big boom, bam, but it at least, when I was reading it and even when I got to act it, it got to show me, oh, well, wow, these are like the breadcrumbs, the seeds of like, well, look, I'm actually not he, but like, I'm actually useful. I'm not just dead weight. Because initially, before I got to do it, I was trying to figure out what's going on. And in my mind, I was looking at it as an audience member, like, oh, no, I'm gonna be dead weight. Like, there's no way. And then to do the stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm useful. I got things going on for myself that are independent of Cyborg. That again, show it's not always brawn. It's not muscle. Sometimes you gotta flex the biggest muscle. Your brain and being able to think your way through things. So I have loved just the journey, to see this and to give life to Deric.
Yeah, amazing.
I mean, if you had to, if the show continued, what aspect or story from the comics would you want it to be in the show? That
honestly, I would enjoy watching a little bit more because her introduction into the show made me kind of look more into her history. And I'd like to see more of Space Case, honestly, because I know, because I know when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, she's a lot more integrated into the Doom Patrol, just the team itself. Like she's very, into it. She goes with Robot Man, different things like that, and do things. So I would love to see more about that. I know speaking specifically for myself as Deric, I don't, to my knowledge, I don't know if Deric Hayes as Cyborg's best friend is in any comic book lore. So this is the beginnings of it all. And if that is the case, I would just love to see, where that journey goes, whether it is more robotics, whether it is kind of like a pseudo, diving over to my Marveldom, a pseudo Iron Man and War Machine type of thing. Like, okay, there's Cyborg, and there's something that Deric can create with Cyborg's help, in the future, where like he's got like some tech or something, or he's the guy in the chair or something, like, just something in a way that shows the further maturing of their relationship that we get to see in a very Doom Patrolian way. Deric be changed from this, because that was my big thing, is this is a forever changing moment. Deric is in some crazy stuff. So ideally, if I thought about it in the real world, I would envision that it's either he would be scared of it and never want to do this stuff again, or he would be so caught up in the experience that he'd say, I want to do it again. I want to go back. I want to find my way to be a hero. So obviously he's not a superhero, in the comic book terms, but he is a hero in his own way. And it's, how can he do that? So like I said, whether in a chair or creating some sort of little device or gadget that he could do and like come and help Cyborg in some way. And then, when it gets too crazy, he's like, all right, I can't do this. I am a human. I will break. So yeah, I would say those things.
Was there any funny moments that you can tell us that happened in the show?
Funny moments that happened. I mean, yeah, there was some stuff like going through Orkwith was crazy. Again, we were on a fully built, functioning set. The team crew, they built it, they did their thing, and many times I would be slipping. The floor had a bunch of not mulch, but I want to say like it was wood chips or something. It gave you that gritty, that crunching sound. And initially when I was walking, I'm walking on solid ground. I'm ready, and when you walk on it, it's relatively solid foundation. But every once in a while, ever so often, I try to hit a turn or something, and I kind of just like slip and be like, oh, and then it kind of increased to a point where like I just fell, and I was just like, all right, this is not conducive to me doing my work. Like I can't operate the same way that I would on solid ground. I got to figure out how to do that. Outside of that, I'm trying to think what are some other funny moment. I mean, it was a lot of things were just the in-between moments of action and cut. So a lot of funny moments would just be us sharing stories, talking, cracking jokes on one another, just to pass the time. I think those are some of the big things, because, I think the other funny moments, honestly, were really just the stuff we got to act and write in the show. Like you said, the I gotta change your diaper. Like that actually was a very fun line that we would go cut again. I'd be like, all right, I gotta say this again. And then, our director, Chris Manley, he would come over and be like, yeah, Elijah, that was, when he said the diaper part, like he just, you got to go again. But every time you say it, man, it just brings such a smile to my face. I'm like, yes, I'm happy my work is translating outside of just from what I'm doing. It's transferring through the screen into people. So let me know. But yeah, I think, yeah, those were some of the best ones. And then just hanging out with Riley. Riley's funny. He's so into being Robot Man.
Yes.
That's just what he is. Like, I love it. Riley is amazing. Oh,
yes, please. In fact, Riley will be a future guest, actually. So
whoa, that's
Riley.
dope. That's what's up.
Yeah, so that's really exciting. But,
yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to say at James Gunn, so that we can, hopefully secure Deric a future and you a future in the DCU. So we'll make sure that he sees this.
Yes.
But what what other characters? And I know we don't want to get into the rest of the season and give things away, but what are the other characters? You know, in DC even, like who are other characters that you as Deric would want to interact with? You know, like that they would just be, because I love what you're talking about. You know, it's almost, you almost have like Vic Stone's dad vibe, like the brilliant roboticist, right? Like, you know, you could come in and be a part of that family dynamic, work at Star Labs, who knows, right? But what other characters from DC would you want to interact with?
Okay, so DC, not Doom Patrol. DC,
both.
Got you.
But yeah,
okay, I would say DC. Green Lantern.
Yeah,
Be really dope. Batman always, because it's Batman. Christian Bale's Batman, but and Robert Pattinson's, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and Michael Keaton always, you know.
Right.
And if I could travel back in time, Adam West. I'm a big Batman fan. So yeah, Green Lantern, Batman. Flash, because I love just the idea and the concept of just being so fast. That would be amazing. Superman, because I'd love to have a situation where Deric is falling from a building and I get to be saved. So I can fly. That would for sure be dope. Wonder Woman too, because I'd love to see the invisible, her jet. That would be amazing. And that's a good question. Outside of that, Doom Patrol wise, it would have been great to get captured by Mr. Nobody.
Oh man, Alan Tudyk. I mean, that actor, like he is just
phenomenal.
Oh,
phenomenal.
Agreed.
Yeah, phenomenal. Him, Mr. Nobody. I think. Oh, it would have been hilarious to be if there was a continuation, like a part 2 episode of Sex Patrol, and being around with like the sex ghosts and all that stuff. I feel like Deric, living through Deric in that situation, just like looking around and there's a bunch of stuff, and then having to like talk to Vic of saying like, so this is what you do. This is superheroing. You know, you talk all bit because because Cyborg is so clean cut. I'm this Titan. I'm a Doom Patrol. I'm part of Justice League. I'm a hero. And then you flip it over to no, dude. You just surround a bunch of ghosts. This is not. There ain't nothing super about this.
It goes from truth, justice, and the American way to truth, justice, sex, drugs.
Yeah, I'm like, you're doing rock and roll. Like this is rock and roll. What are you talking about? This is not superheroing. Like, get out of here. And also, it would be. I'll finish it here. It would be fun just because the movie's in my mind, but it'd be hilarious to somehow have Deric caught in some craziness around the Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, man.
Because why not? One wacky crazy team to another.
Right.
So
that like that could be you could build them things maybe. You could kind of be their go-to cue or whatever from.
Right. It could be that, or even it could be like the initial part is I get captured and they're forcing me to do it. And because they have to fight Cyborg and the Doom Patrol, and then the Doom Patrol has to save, and then it could branch from there. So I just to name a few, I think those would be really, really dope.
Love it.
As we've got time, just maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'm gonna ask because this is one of my favorite questions. So if you could put a superhero team together, it could be anyone you want to. Because as we know, Doom Patrol, the team obviously struggles. But if you could create your own team, what would it be?
First, I'd have Spider-Man. Peter Parker and Miles Morales, because why not?
Absolutely.
I'd have, oh man, you gotta add some cosmic stuff in there. So I'd have like Dr. Fate, Doctor Strange. Gotta have like a big person just in case something's gotta like go down. So I'd have like Galactus. Man, I'm just trying to think because this is a crazy team that I'm creating, and I need like
right.
Like this is already crazy. Like you have so many small things, and you have this huge celestial. Man, I need probably Batman because we need some organization. I need and to have contingency plans in case everything went crazy. I'm trying to, man, my brain is like firing. I'm trying to figure out like the big ones. Like there's in the Marvel verse, I would have this character because why not? It's called Eternity. So like it's Eternity and has everything in him. Like I would just, if I'm gonna pick a team, I'm gonna go big heavy hitters. I'd do that. And then just throw Superman in there because why not? But I'm talking and I do Superman in the comics where he flies into the sun and he stays there, I think, for like 1,000 years or something. It's one of those, but it's Superman and he comes out golden because he's just absorbed all the sun's radiation. He's like super crazy powerful. So yeah, that's a pretty random team, but I do that just in case anything were to happen. I got a lot of my bases covered. Yeah,
who's
my guy Cyborg. Yeah, my guy Cyborg, because why not?
Yeah, for sure.
Go to Tour de France.
Yeah, there you go.
Always.
Well, and who's leading that team? Like that's the question.
Oh, that's the fun part. Yeah, that's the fun part. I just tell them, hey, flip a coin, have fun. Yeah, because obviously Batman would be trying to say that he should do the team. But he'd be irritated about like Spider-Man just making jokes everywhere. Yep. And then you got like Galactus that's just no one can communicate to him because he's so huge. So there's no like real teamwork. It's just he does what he does. Okay, let's figure it out for us down below. Superman would be doing his own thing. But yeah, it'd probably just be Batman still. I think from a comic book standpoint, he's just been written so well in the sense of no matter wherever he is, for some reason, he's always the person of reason and leadership. So I'll give it a bat.
And before we end this wonderful, honestly, it's been incredible tonight or today. I just wanted to ask you, as hopefully everyone does know, Duran is of course British. Did he teach you any British stuff whilst you guys were like working together?
Yeah. I'm trying to like think of there's words. Oh, he he taught me about how sometimes American English is bad English. I think it was the fact that what was it? I think there was because I said something. I think it's far. I think I said farther. I was like, I think I was trying to describe something. I said, oh yeah, it's the farthest. It's like, oh yeah, if you're going somewhere, I was like, oh yeah, that's the farthest you could go. He's like, what? It's the farthest. He's like, no, you don't say farthest. I was like, what do you mean? I've said farthest my entire life. He's like, it's furthest. I was like, what do you? I was like, what? It's furthest. I mean, farthest. It's a letter. Like they're literally meaning the same thing. You're changing a letter. But I think there was that. But a lot of times I just try to pick up like the accent a little bit, just trying to just be in that space of like, because I don't know. I may have to use that for a character one day.
Yeah, right.
I think that was the one that clicks in my brain right now in terms of kind of like terminology or lingo, different things like that. But honestly, there's probably a bunch of them I'm just spacing. But outside of that, but yeah, I really tried to get like the accent down, and he was teaching me or telling me other shows I could watch to like work it. Like I gotta get up on Top Boy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How funny. Well, hey man, this has been a a real pleasure. It's great
It's
to
been
meet
fun.
you. Yeah, just hear your story and everything. And can you tell everybody what's next? What's coming up next for you?
So for me, it is auditioning. It's been fun. I've been having a great time. But outside of that, mainly kind of it goes back to what I was talking about before in terms of like the mental health, the journey of an actor, because a big thing I was talking to somebody the other day, acting, whether people know it or not, is kind of being a entrepreneur. You are your own business. So in many ways, when you have work, you have work. When you don't, you got to figure it out. So in between the time of, when the show comes back and now, more or less is auditioning, writing, collaborating with my friends here. And I have an improv group. I would invite y'all, but I know we're so far. But I do a lot of improv and have shows. Cool. So I got some shows this month, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And then in the coming months throughout the rest of the year. And yeah, just kind of more or less staying busy, trying to, whether work out or develop a new skill, and just to always have something else, going on. And also try to get up on my rest. A lot of times I being creative, your mind's just always going and you want to do other things and you feel like there's something else you could be doing. So you try to find it, and sometimes that just results in a lot of just staying up, watching shows or doing things of that nature. But mainly auditioning, writing, creating, improvising, sleeping, and just enjoying this space that I'm in right now. And honestly, very much looking forward to my next project because, like I said, I've learned so much from just Javan and the Doom Patrol family, and even you two and the group itself. Again, shout out to the Doom group because
thank you.
Learning more about just your story, everyone's story, how the group was created and what's to come, and the resilience through all of this 4 seasons. It's just like, oh yeah, I got this.
Exactly.
There's so many other people around me that are showing that, hey, this little intermission, if you will, is a place that you use to cultivate a lot of other things. And when it's your time again, you come out the gate going.
Well, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for that. The group is going to be very excited to see this. So thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to follow Elijah. You're on Twitter and Instagram?
Yes. My Twitter handle is, let me remember. It's Book of Eli 5. Okay. And my Instagram is my first and middle name with an underscore. That is Elijah Rashad _
Perfect. So follow Elijah, follow Doom Group. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and we'll have on YouTube as well. We'll have these playing on YouTube, and then these will also be streaming on Apple, Spotify, all the podcast streaming sites. So please tune in. And again, Elijah, thank you so very much, man. This is so great.
Thank you. It's been amazing.
Well, thank you again, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'll see y'all soon. We got part 2.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Before we end this amazing interview, okay, we've all got to basically do it, but we've got to get the right timing. So we've all got to say booyah because of the on Twitter, it was amazing. So we've got to all do this.
All right.
Oh man. Okay. Let's go. We'll go 1, 2, 3, booyah.
Perfect.
Okay,
All right, here we go.
1,
2, 3.
Booyah!
Booyah!
Yes. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.